Hello. Hi, Courthouse Kidnapping. Okay, so today I want to talk about because I was asked a question a couple days ago by something that is made obvious on the website, on the home website, the homepage of the website, but it's all the way at the bottom. And the homepage, to be fair, is pretty freaking long. We got a lot of information there. Um, but the question was, why is this what happened with my children trafficking and not just a nasty custody situation? And I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain it in a lot of different ways. Um, but before I get started, I want to point out this link here. This is going to be the funds that I will be using to get Mona's Law started. Maybe I could turn it into a nonprofit eventually, like a 501c3 nonprofit, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done before that can happen. And as you guys all know, raising money when everyone's broke is really hard. So this link will be in the description of this video on Facebook and on the Carl's Kidnapping YouTube channel. Go check it out. I have a couple posts on there, and if you, it will let you know because there's a way that I can do live streams on there. And I would like to do that for alienated parents and everyone just following this story, and it'll let you know if you donate. After you donate, it will let you know. You'll have a notification. I'm pretty sure if I'm streaming, but I'm still kind of learning. But you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And we have to change this. We have to make a difference. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why. But every little bit counts. So click the link, check it out. Every little bit. So why is this trafficking? Well, first we have to talk about what human trafficking is. This is not the same. There's a confusion here a little bit because when I say trafficking, people assume that I'm saying sex trafficking, and I'm not. There's different types of trafficking. There's labor trafficking. There's a lot. What we're talking about here is litigation trafficking, and it's not something that only children can be victims of. Now, with the rise of faulty conservatorships, I mean, look at the Wendy Williams situation. She's fine now. She's fine. She's completely lucid. Wendy Williams had alcohol-related dementia, which, if you stop drinking, can go away. I've been telling you guys, your brain can heal itself, absolutely, under the right conditions. It's called neuroplasticity for a reason. The human brain is such a beautiful, incredible, amazing thing. It is certainly the most complex machine, biological or not, known to man, and there's a lot of beautiful things we can do with it, as long as we stick together. But yeah, and it was actually her bank, Wells Fargo, was who applied to have their customer put under a conservatorship, something with, and I don't even know what their grounds were. I mean, it had to have been something financial because that was her bank. It wasn't a family member. It wasn't anything like that. And I feel like this really does matter, especially in her situation, because she's Black and the woman who filed this whole thing and is like holding her there is white. What's happening? Like, what year are we in? Our courts were not meant to re-enslave anyone, ever. Ooh, get me fired up about Wendy. Oh, just for Wendy. So it's not just children that are at risk of being moved around like pawns for other people's financial gain, regardless of the trauma that it imposes on their pawn then or for the rest of their lives. There are a lot of people who do not care if they are going to permanently traumatize a child well into adulthood by selling them. Hello, Jana. I'm talking to you, girl. So, why is what happened with me and my babies trafficking? Let's talk about what constitutes trafficking. We got three important words, okay? Force, fraud, coercion. Now, for an individual to be moved around against their will and it to be considered trafficking, all three of those do not need to apply. But I've got at least two, heavy in my case. Fraud everywhere, all over it, right down to, okay, let's start with how CPS got involved. I had another lawyer tell me the summer after that happened that case was open fraudulently. Why? Because Jennifer and Chris called CPS on me after the kids were already living with them. And I didn't know that at the time. I knew that what Jennifer and Chris were saying were full on lies, but fraud. Okay? That was fraud. Let we keep going. Jonathan Brown. Let's talk about his fraud. Let's talk about how he handpicked a fraudulent Tuesday, definitely not a medical Dr. Smith, to fabricate and very much, I mean, the first thing I would like to go over with another attorney is this parental capacity agreement this Tuesday, not a Dr. Smith wrote up. This woman, there's a reason why psychologists cannot prescribe medication. It's because they don't have the medical training. This woman put in my parental capacity agreement because I was in pain management. Keep in mind, 14 years ago now, at this point, it had been 10 years prior that I had been in pain management. I was in pain management for 2 years. When I first had my baby, Mona, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, immediately afterwards put me in pain management. And those medications that they were giving me, they had me on very heavy pain medications, and they were making me so much sicker. I don't take any prescriptions right now. I'm supposed to be taking my narcolepsy medicine, but I'm still getting my name back to get medical care, which I haven't been able to receive since January either because of this whole thing, because of my name. I need a pen. I'm going to forget to link these because of my name situation. So I'm going to link name playlist. Let's see what I'm writing on below. But anyways, so this Tuesday, definitely not a Dr. Smith. Put those 2 years of me in pain management, that's not how she wrote it in my parental capacity agreement. This woman went in with an idea of what fraudulent Jonathan Brown from CPS had told her and manipulated everything I say. You know how she put that in my parental capacity agreement or evaluation? She didn't say patient was under pain management care for 2 years, 8 years ago. No. You know what she put? Patient has admitted to previous narcotic use. Yeah. Fraud. And the other thing that she put in there was she was scrutinizing that my doctors have had me on ADHD medication for narcolepsy for a long time, even though I was prescribed it for ADHD before I got narcolepsy. And she put in there that I was prescribed what'd she say, psychotropic drugs or taking psychotropic drugs for non-psychotropic reasons or something like that. Never, ever saying anything about the fact that I have hypersomnia, the fact that I have fibromyalgia, the fact that I have arthritis, the fact that I have all of this stuff. And you guys, Adderall has been prescribed. Adderall, Ritalin, any stimulant has been prescribed for narcolepsy for years. Sure, longer than Miss Tuesday, not a Dr. Smith, even was in school. Crazy. But she didn't know that because she's not a doctor. She's some freaking quack. She doesn't know. And when you even pull her website up for her practice, it says permanently closed, which means this Tuesday, not a Dr. Smith that needs to be investigated quickly is only getting business from what Jonathan Brown filters to her, because Jonathan Brown at CPS was the one that picked her. I had sent Tuesday, not a Dr. Smith, a full-length email before ever meeting her, explaining to her what was going on. I asked her and fraudulent Jonathan Brown and Virginia Beach CPS if I could give them my medical records from all of my doctors. They refused. Fraud. They had an idea in their head and they made it happen. And they did it. And this Tuesday, not a doctor, I don't know. She needs to be investigated. It's bad news, guys. Pull up her website. It says permanently closed, but it's not closed. It said permanently closed years ago when she saw me. I have run mental health business and a mental health nonprofit. I guarantee you 80% of my clientele came from Google. So why is Google listing her as closed? Because Jonathan Brown is filtering our kids, telling her what to say about the parents to be trafficked. This makes it trafficking because it's not true. See what I'm saying? The fact that she's parading her, does she have a doctorate in psychology? Maybe. At this point, the way this woman parades around, I don't know. I really do feel like that should be checked as well. Fraud. Let's talk about the guardian litem. The guardian litem that the city of Virginia Beach assigned to my children did not speak to me, did not make contact with me at all. Not one text, not one email. I'll link that video below too. Link jail. Not one text, not one email, not one phone call. I couldn't get hold of her. I know she didn't talk to Joshua because don't forget, Joshua was out to sea the whole time. The only court date that Joshua, Ramona's father, showed up to was the very, very last one. And right when I walked in there, I saw him and I walked over and I said, hey, do you know what's going on? Because nobody would tell me anything. Travis didn't know either. And I'm just recently finding this out. So this guardian litem advocated for these two kids to go with grandparents while never speaking to any of their parents at all. Trafficking. That is not what guardian litems are supposed to do. Look it up in the description. These lawyers take a vow. It's like oath of fidelity where they have to, prove their credentials, licensure, blah, 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 whatever. But they also have to take an oath to do their job in the most honest and integrous way possible to hold up the integrity of the courts. Our courts were meant to protect us. They were not meant to traffic our children. Joshua's grandma gave him, and I'm not going to say anything nasty about Donna at all, because I feel like Donna's been heavily manipulated in this whole thing too. And she hasn't had a good couple of years either. And there's just no reason. There's just no reason to pile on Donna at all. I think she's a grandmother who thinks she's taking care of her grandbabies, who she thinks are being honest with her, but they're usually she was the one, but Donna was the one that paid for Josh's attorney. So Josh didn't have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars either, but he had a family member that did. Virginia is not a mother state. Virginia is a money state. Just because you bought your kids does not mean that you are the best parent, because as you see through all of this, there are ways that you can buy your kids through Virginia Beach courts right now. for the right price. Sure. Are you going to traumatize them for the rest of their lives that could lead to heavy mental illness, but will definitely lead to trust issues, abandonment issues, security issues, all of that as adults. You don't ever want your babies to have a normal relationship, a normal, happy relationship because they're so traumatized. And the way they painted it to my kids was that I was doing all these things and abandoning my children when that wasn't the case. You think that anyone told Mona or Deacon about the 10-year annulment and why that wasn't okay, Jana? No, they didn't. And my babies they're amazing. They're people pleasers. And they've been saying to the adults around them what they think the adults around them want to hear. And unfortunately, they've also been stuck in this echo chamber of hate for 3.5 years. So there's no reason to blame them. Mona was 10, Deacon was 14, and Deacon was groomed a lot longer than Mona was. And I will link that video as well. I have the grooming video. Okay. What else? What else we got? So let's talk about my attorney, my court-appointed attorney, and Mona's dad's paid, very pricey Janet Naderman attorney. My court-appointed attorney was Leilani Adams. She did nothing. That's where the coercion comes in. Not only did she do nothing, but at that last meeting, that parental capacity agreement that I was telling you about at the beginning of the video, I was emailed that 1 or 2 nights before the final court hearing. I was never told I was going to be emailed. This was sprung on me when I walked in. She told me, basically, and this is how the trafficking ring comes together. Leilani told me, because apparently she had read, so she knew what was going on. None of these girls are going to play dumb. Or at least I'm not going to let them play dumb. Because if she read the parental capacity evaluation, she had to say what she said to me, which was, she brought up the thing that where she said that I admitted to previous narcotic use. And I said, well, yeah, I was in pain management for 2 years. They were legal, prescribed, medically necessary narcotics. But you know what? I do so much better without them. I'm going to make a fibro video on my vlog channel soon about why those, and we'll go through my whole own personal experience, but those opioids, they are not good for fibromyalgia. They take your natural pain level down to such a level that it makes your fibro worse. I promise you this. I lived it. By the time I got out of pain, I was only in there 2 years. By the time I got out, my fibromyalgia was so much worse. I could hardly move. I weighed over 200 pounds. Yes, you heard that right. Little Jamie weighed over 200 pounds. It was horrible. They had me on other medications to combat the side effects from these medications. And it was just, I just picture chemical avalanches just all through my, if it wasn't natural, it was horrible. It made everything worse. But so she brought that up and I said that to her. I said that to Leilani. And then she brought up that I am prescribed stimulants for narcolepsy. And I said, yes. And I said, why don't you just let me like pee in a cup? Take my pee, take my hair, take my nails. I don't have anything to hide from you people. I haven't had anything to hide from the get-go. And I have the text messages to prove it and the emails to prove it. And she said, well, since you were prescribed these medications, it wouldn't matter because nobody had said anything about me out of all of the accusations that were made against me. Being a drug addict was never one of them because the people who know me knew it just wouldn't fly. Like, it doesn't hold me water. But this Tuesday, not a Dr. Smith, because she calls herself a expert in whatever, she's not an expert in medicine because she doesn't understand that Adderall is prescribed for narcolepsy a lot, especially when Provigil doesn't work. And I can't take Provigil. And when Provigil first came out, it was so hard to get insurance companies to cover it. I don't even know if it's still the same way, but when they first tried to put me on Provigil, I remember it was like a 2-week thing where I had to get all of these different kind of like approvals and it was a mess. So once again, this person working in a position that she has no business in has traumatized not only me, but both my children because she doesn't understand medicine. Hands down. Hands down. We could pull up all my medical records to prove it if we want. Like, it's very easy. It's not a secret. I've been getting medical care for fibro, narcolepsy, and arthritis for a really long time. But these people can make up any story they want about you. Now, why would Leilani do this? Well, let's think about it this way. These attorneys, especially when it comes to family law, work together a lot, okay? And they are colleagues. Whether Leilani and Jana have a friendly relationship outside, I don't know. But think about it like this. These are people who have to work around each other forever, or as long as they're attorneys in Virginia. And they're very friendly with each other. And we got Jana over here making $10,000 plus. Leilani's making nothing. Why wouldn't? I mean, she didn't let me speak. She did nothing. She didn't challenge the fraudulent restraining order that was on there either. She did nothing. Which is another reason it makes it a ring. She was helping Jana. Leilani was helping Jana make those thousands. Why would she do that? Well, maybe Jana's going to help her make thousands because Leilani is also a paid attorney. This was just like her little side gig. Paid attorneys shouldn't be going against court-appointed attorneys because they have a reason to work together. And it's their own personal vested interest of the thousands that they may make from the next case that they get, where this person is a GAL or not a GAL, court-appointed attorney. Okay. It's fraud. It's selling kids. Coercion, selling children. Josh did not earn custody of Ramona, and neither did any of those psycho grandparents. She was bought and sold, as was my son. No parents were involved, really. Josh wasn't here the whole time. He was out of state 6 months. The only one he came to, the only court appearance he came to was the very last one. And I walked up to him and he said he didn't even know what was going on. I was like, okay, man. And he told me to my face, I don't know what's going on. Because the decisions were already made. See what I'm saying? It didn't matter what I did. My babies have been bought. And they were now being sold. Trying to catch smoke with your fingertips. I did everything they asked me to and then some. It wouldn't have mattered. It didn't matter. And that's not what our courts are for. And this needs to change. This is why it's litigation trafficking. My children have been without a mother now for 3.5 years. I changed my job, started to do this to fight for them. This is trafficking. The Constitution matters, but it doesn't apply to everyone. Not while this is still happening. Mona's laws are very important, and there are some very specific goals that even if we can even get one accomplished, it would be better. I am out of the custody phase of my stuff with my kids. Mona's 14, but I already promised her that she would never have to go through that again. I'm never taking her to court for custody. She should have never been put through it in the get-go. And one thing that me and Travis, actually, who's Deacon's father, my first husband, have always agreed on is that it's silly to bring the government in, to just invite the government into your kids' lives when you should just be able to talk it out. You made those kids together. I mean, we could say, people say a lot of things about Travis, just like they say a lot of things about me. Just like anyone can say a lot of things about anyone. But the fact that even he got pulled into it and he didn't understand what's going on either, because none of the attorneys were really telling anyone except the grandparents anything. They ran the show. Josh signed over power of attorney to Lisa before he left. Because, mommy's got to do everything for him. So they bled me dry and then left me on the streets to die. And Kobe, what are you doing? That's not your spot. Look at him. They're getting antsy. But a divorce should never cost a child a good parent. A child should never have to go without a mama just because the parents couldn't work it out. That is crazy. And the fact that my children have been put with people who can't possibly love them more than they hate me over property and money is crazy. And this is how our children are being trafficked through our courts. And I won't give up. And I'll never stop talking. I said it once, I'll say it again. They put me on the only hill I'm ever willing to die on, and that is for the well-being of my own children. And y'all's too. I have a spot for kids. We all need to be protecting these kids. The world is such a scary place, So, but that's why. Those are a couple of the reasons. And there's more. I have an antsy puppy here who needs a little attention and love. There is more. But that's a few of the reasons what makes this trafficking. It's people who weren't involved, okay, making money off of putting other people in traumatic situations. Jana doesn't care. It makes me worry about her kids. And if Leilani has kids, it makes me worry about her kids. It does, because I could never. No amount of money is worth it. My comments are off everywhere for a lot of reasons. And one of them is, even though I completely understand, and for those of you who don't understand, because my comments are off, none of these are ever going to go viral because they won't hit the algorithm the way they could. That's how the algorithm works. The more engagement you have, the more you get pushed on people's For You page, they can find you. And I don't have hardly any engagement, and that's my choice because these are things that need to be said. And in my own heart, even though I know I would be making a lot more money if I allowed that, my mental health, nor any of my followers' mental health, is worth extra money. It just isn't. It's not. We are important. Money comes and goes. Human beings are important. We matter. You matter. I matter. So go check out Mona's Laws on the Buy Me a Coffee app. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the description above on Facebook and the description in the box on YouTube. Go check it out. We need to stand together. But yeah, this is why it's trafficking. My children didn't lose their mama because of anything that was wrong with their mama or them. It's because other very greedy and very spiteful adults made that decision without any parents' consent for no reason. Just money. It's just money. And Jennifer's still mad over property. I'll link one of those below too. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Check out Mona's Laws on the Buy Me a Coffee app, and every bit helps. Every little donation helps. It really does. I'm going to need to put a lot of work in this. I'm really starting to understand why politicians raise so much money for themselves. It's expensive. And I'm just now getting back on my feet with supporting my own self from this. I'm trying to do this, but this is so important. This is so important. Okay. Me and my babies are going to have a lot of work to do together eventually. I don't want that to happen to anyone else. I don't want that to happen to you and your children. Remember, these are people that I could have never fathomed doing this just a couple years before. Never. People change. Sucks. Anyways, thank you guys for your time and your attention to all of this, and stay grateful. Stay grateful is all we can do. The only thing we can do is stay grateful and move forward, and that's the truth. Thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week.